We
I
have
don't,
three
I don't,
tonight.
Bill, quick point, Bill, I don't know if anyone else is hearing it, but I'm hearing a good deal of distortion in your audio.
Yes.
Yes, it
A
is.
little
Oh,
static.
thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think it's static.
How's that?
Bit
Say some
better.
more.
Is that any better? Maybe
Yes.
I'm close to the
Yes.
microphone. Okay. Put that back a bit. So 3 categories tonight: creative, journalism, and pictorial. We'll go through the first 2 and then take a 5-10 minute break and then finish the last one. So first, creative, first level, basic, we have 4 images.
Bill, am I right? I don't remember, but am I right? There's a time limit on comments. Is that right?
1 minute.
When you, if you well, like on the first image, you'll see a title, a caption, and that'll go away after a minute.
Okay. All right.
Gives you an idea if you can try to keep it under a minute. We've got about 93 images tonight, roughly. Plus, we'll do with the awards. Each
Yep.
member will say a few words. So it will be a long evening.
Okay. All right.
So first, and I'll read the captions for each image. So a single rose can be my garden, El Buscalia.
Okay. Would you like me to comment in each one as they come up?
Yes, yes, please.
All right.
And when we get to a sequence, I'll read the titles for the sequence and then
All right.
through the whole thing.
Right. Okay. So, I look at this photograph. It's beautiful. I have a client who did a whole series of flowers, but they did all dead flowers, and they did them in infrared, and it created something really unique and unusual. And I look at this, and first of all, it's a nice photograph of a rose, and the composition is great, the color, everything about it is great. And I look at the lines and whatnot in the petal, and when I see things like that, I always ask myself, how does this make it a better photograph? And in what way does this make it more appealing, come alive, lend some sort of a beauty to it or whatever? And I'm not sure that these lines do that. I'd also be very curious as to how they were created. If it was like it's like a click in Photoshop that goes bing and there it's done. And so I also wonder about the skill involved in creating that. So there you go.
Wings.
Okay. I like this, I always like to see photographs that maybe nobody else would have thought of. This is sort of one of them. And the arrangement of the birds and the balance of it, the framing of it, the gray and the black center and the overlap, the way some of the wings and the birds spill out over into the gray area and everything. This is sort of what I would call a real commercial, which is not a criticism, but it's a very clean, slick commercial sort of a look. I could see this in any number of kinds of a illustration for a book or something like that. I like the balance. I like the subject matter, everything about it. I like that photograph.
When you're ready, just say next. No.
Oh, next. Yep, sorry.
Determination and its opposite.
Okay. So I feel like photographs should have some sort of a message. To me, this is interesting. It's illustrating. I've seen videos or pictures of these before and everything, but I'm not sure what the story is. I feel like photographs need to have something sort of significant in it. And the photograph that we saw before this, the significance was sort of the starkness of the design and the drama in it and everything. Whereas this, my eye goes to the person on the right in the globe and everything. And I like the idea of activity, which is a really good part of content in a photograph. But, there's a few things like, I wish the globe on the left didn't intersect the frame. and it's not exactly balanced. And I'm not sure if there is a quote unquote significant sort of thing to draw my eye in or for a story. I get the idea, I get the point, but it doesn't ring with me that strong, really. Okay. Ready.
Black and blue.
This is interesting, includes part of the web and everything, and it's this sort of this translucent spider. I'm curious as to how much of that took place in post-processing and how much of it was just blasting this crazy light through a spider. I like the graphics. I like the composition of it. I think is very good, and there's a lot of sort of rules in there, and I'm quite drawn to it. Really, it's very graphic. I think it should be a vertical with the head up, but it's an unusual enough treatment, I think, to really get noticed for sure. Yep. Okay, done.
A creative intermediate, 5 images. Adventure book, Mongolian entry in the World Ice Art Championships, Fairbanks, Alaska.
So this is interesting because I've been to this event many, many times. So I lived in Alaska for 9 years, and in those days they were doing these crazy things with chainsaws that were really crude, and the detail in this is really amazing. And I'm assuming that the background was created post-op. It looks like the Northern Lights, and the lighting on it is excellent. My guess is that the lighting was there on set, not created by the photographer, but it's a good juxtaposition and good composition, nice light, has the exotic aspect of these beasts that are portrayed, and the light and whatnot is all appropriate, goes well together. Okay, next.
Ghost owl above a wildfire.
I wasn't quite sure what to think about this, and it is, I think I get the symbolism of wildlife and the owl and the ghost and these trees that look like they're they're on fire and everything like that. Again, it'd be a great illustration for an editorial, in a magazine or a newspaper or something like that about wildfires. And I find that the owl is a little bit jolting in the way it fits or doesn't fit in with the background, but it's balanced composition. I like the patterns and the leaves and the burning and everything like that. The owl looks a little out of place, and I realize that's maybe part of the point, but I'm not sure that it works that well. Okay.
Dancing in the desert.
This photograph to me was a mystery, and I look at photographs like that and I think, how did they do that? And which is a real compliment. And there's a lot of details in there. For instance, that the person dancing with his back to you does not overlap with the other figures. The composition is really super strong. Even the shadows don't overlap. Everything is very complete and separate. It's very graphic. Again, it has a real commercial look to it, and it's an excellent look. And it's the choice of colors, the balancing of it has everything. It has so much going for it. The action of the taking place with the drummers in the background, and the people on the left, but in particular the dancers. It is a beautiful, beautiful illustration. Wonderful, whatever it took place of in Photoshop or wherever it was created. It's done really well. I love that photograph. Yeah. Perfect choice of colors, the light pastel kind of a feel to it. Good. Okay, next.
My evening walk.
Yeah, this is interesting. When I first looked at this, I thought somebody was experimenting with motion. But then I realized that no, actually, it looks like a double exposure. So initially, when I thought it was motion, it didn't strike me. But now, as I look at it, and if I'm right, that it looks like wood grain or something like that, that double exposure really fits with the scene itself, with the path and the trees and sort of the look of nature. So I think it's if I'm right, that was a good choice in the photographer. And I like the way the path has that leading line that leads your eye through the photograph and around behind the trees. It makes me want to explore it a little bit and know more. It's good interpretation of a pretty ordinary scene, making something look a little more extraordinary than it might actually be if you were there. It's good. Next, okay.
Rugged beauty.
And this is interesting because I see these advertised all over the place online, these globes, and I got to say, I would be tempted myself to play around with it. I think I never have, because I look at them and I think they may be a little bit gimmicky, but when I look at this photograph, actually, I see a really appropriate use for it in this image. It's a little bit like a fisheye. You know, fisheye can do great things, but it can be very gimmicky. But sometimes I see a fisheye photograph, say like, wow, good thing they used a fisheye. That works just perfectly. So this is kind of interesting in the way it's like a fisheye, you know, a 180 or whatever it is, a fisheye injected into a frame, and that defines what's out of focus in the background. And so it's got a strong composition. Of course, you're just drawn right to that circle in the middle and what it does. So I think it works there, works very well. Yeah, I wouldn't say it always works. I think you have to be careful when you use those sort of things, like a fisheye or like this. Okay, good.
Okay, advanced level, 7 images. The light before the dark, or a meditation on how to live life to the very end.
This looks like Southern Utah, and I just drove through Southern Utah recently, and saw light hitting the top of mountains and ridges and things like that. I stopped, I took photographs of it. I didn't do anything like this. And I look at this and I think like, I wish I'd thought of that. And it's really well done. I love the streaking that comes out from the top and the little hints of color. It's pretty much, you know, it's not monochromatic, but it was basically 2 tones, the greenish blue and the warmth and everything, and hitting the mountaintops. And this is hard to find something when you take a photograph like this, and I've just been confronted with this myself and how to create scale without a person or a vehicle or something or a tree or whatever. So there's no scale here, but it forced me to look at it and study it a little bit and kind of figure out the scale of it. And the composition is great. The light is stunning, and the post-production on it, I think, is very clever and very well done. Okay.
Ellis's garden.
This is interesting. I'm pretty sure that those are fungi of some sort, and the post-production on it is very well done. It's again, it's has a certain commercial look to it, in that it's so well executed, and I like the colors, the composition. There's a bit of an S curve. If you start on the left, you go up on the little mushrooms on the left, then it drops back down into the middle, then it goes back up. It kind of reminds me of an August Sander family portrait, you know, that he might have done back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, whenever he was active. I'm not sure. But yeah, the composition of it is excellent, and the light is excellent, and the post-production is excellent. And I got to say that the subject matter is is also interesting too. Has enough of a mystery about it to make me want to keep looking at it. But there's enough information there that I have an understanding, I know what it is. That makes it even stronger. Good, next.
Deep sea life.
This, I wasn't sure what to make of it. I like the dark dot in the middle. I like the balance of the composition that has a certain movement to it. But I didn't get any kind of a strong feeling or message through it. It looked like it'd make a great screensaver if it was moving, because it does have that sense of action and movement to it. But I didn't think there was a strong message that was obvious to me, for sure. Next.
Plate.
Okay. This I would call a illustration, like a photo illustration that is illustrating. It's conceptual. That's what I want to say, and again, it's a good idea. Conceptual photographs are not an easy thing to come up with. Just coming up with the idea and then acting on it, and this person did it very, very, very well. The money flying out from her hands or arms or whatever it is that she's riding on there. And I would, if I was the photographer, I would do this again, and I would do it with a little more detail of the person. I would definitely crop it down so there's more attention on the person. And I mean, make a great, I'm all for maintaining the frame of what you see in the camera. But in this case, I think cropping in particular crop coming up on the bottom and everything, you would still get the sense of movement and flight and everything like that. I especially like the conceptual idea of it though. Okay.
When it's all just too much.
I passed over this initially very quickly, and then I got looking at it and I started thinking about the pandemic and what it's done and everything. And there's a certain message here, I think, that I really like. It's this idea of this perfect object of a flower sort of exploding and flying into a million pieces and everything. Again, the clever idea. Composition is good. I like the flower balanced on the right. I like the square. I think it's a square crop, looks like, yep. And the flower moved to the right with everything flying off to the left and going up and everything. Yeah, it's just a great idea, great concept, and is like, you know, an exploding, you know, explosion of beauty and rationale in, you know, after 2 years of lockdown. I think it works very well. I like it. Wouldn't change anything. Next.
Morphology.
This was another one I thought was a, you know, I mean, the composition is super tight, and it's the light is terrific on it. I like the colors. It's the form, the repeating patterns of these arches, particularly in the bottom and everything, work really well. But I wasn't sure if to me, it feels more like an exercise than it does an idea. And yeah, okay, next.
Old reliable tea.
I have such a soft spot for old cars. I love the lighting on this, and the lighting on the car on the Model T itself, and I generally don't like desaturation with little spots of color and everything, but in this case, I think it's totally appropriate for the vehicle itself. You know, lighting up the inside like that, and the headlamps, whether it was done originally or post-production or whatever, it doesn't really make any difference to me. I think it works, and you know, the composition is good, the positioning in the frame is excellent, and the spots of light are really draw my eye into it. When I looked at it, I really studied it for a while, thinking like, okay, what they do, what's going on. It's a clever idea, good idea, and good execution. Okay.
Okay, master's level, creative, 5 images,
Okay.
reflections.
All right. Before I go on, I just want to say there's so many good photographs here, and there's a certain amount of subjectivity, I'm sure. I'm trying to be totally objective. I think as W. Gene Smith said, the idea of objectivity is ridiculous. You can only educate yourself to a subject best you can, then go from there. So, but I am trying to be, you know, look at different guidelines and whatnot. This is a beautiful photograph, and one of the things I like about it is the fact that it's sort of subtle. So often we see reflections which are so hyped up and overdone, and this, to me, you know, I'm from New, I don't know, doesn't make any difference whether it was taken, but this reminds me of so many ponds where I lived in New England for so many years, and it's just soft and welcoming and gentle. If they're birches or whatever they are in the middle, kind of the inverted V, sort of slightly to the left of middle and everything, is what draws me in. I wish it was a little bit stronger maybe to do that, but yeah, it's great. You know, Ellie Irwitz says, notice, and I, you know, there's somebody who was out there with a camera and noticed, and it works really well. Yeah. Okay.
Puma sightings, the town decided to turn it into a tourist attraction.
Okay. This is interesting. In general, I often feel that photographs need a caption. On the other hand, I'll say also that the caption has to fit the image, and it doesn't, and it can tell you, you know, like the traditional AP rules for captioning, you know, time, place, you know, all that sort of stuff. But I'm not sure it's a good idea if you have a photograph that you need to explain what the photograph is about within in the picture. To me, this says, watch out, you might run over a mountain lion, but I don't get the connection with a tourist attraction. So, yeah. Otherwise, it's there's nothing there. It's a little bit confusing. The bags of garbage, the mountain lion, the city limit. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to think about this. Left me scratching my head.
Ancient survivor.
So this was interesting. I blew this up, and when you do it, it looks a little bit pixelated. It's another example, I believe anyway, of some, I could be wrong. I'd be curious to find out later if this is a, you know, kind of a click on a filter that would create this. And having said that, I like, you know, this sort of this hollowed out, I don't know if it's hollowed out or charred or whatever, tree or whatever. And the space between it, it's compositionally is good, it's balanced and everything. I'm not sure if it needed a filter. I think if it was tighter, maybe if it didn't have the blue sky over in the upper right, it might be a little clearer as to what you know, what the message is here, or what that center part is. Like I said, it looks like a char, but I couldn't really tell if it was a char, a shadow, or what. But yeah, it's a little bit predictable for me, and I feel like there was an attempt to save the predictability by whatever the artistic aspect of it was in post-production. Okay.
Escape from the city.
This is very clever. Somebody really understands how to use Photoshop. If this is Photoshop, it doesn't make any difference. There's other programs that would have done this, but it's really good. And you know, it has something really significant about it. And the significance is I mean, of course, it's the little person in the middle there, the little boy, but it's his sense of character, a look of desperation, you know, with his arms outstretched, a sense of movement, activity, and then, you know, the background with this sort of ominous starlit sky, and the city itself looks ominous. Again, it's a conceptual sort of photograph that is really well executed compositionally. You know, this is a really strong illustration that belongs in a story, an article, or something that illustrates. It's super well done. Yeah, right down to his shadow.
Chasing the dream. It all goes by in a flash.
Okay, one of my favorite things to do is
Yours was as good as I thought it was.
is to do is panning. And this is really a good pan. It's a good proof that you don't have to have the whole figure sharp to pan. That roller skate says it all. And it just has a real sense of joy and freedom and movement and activity. I kind of wish there was a little bit more space underneath the skate. But he, you know, he's skating into the picture. He's skating into that bright zone there in the middle of the flash. You know, I would call it successful. It's good. Taking an ordinary scene, ordinary situation, and turning it into something, you know, with a real strong feeling to it. Good. Okay.
Okay, now we move to journalism. Basic 2 images. Local salmon fishery in 2022, boats will remain in dock for 70% of the season for conservation. Upside, record rainfalls have salmon returning to streams abandoned for over a decade.
So this is a great illustration of that. This photograph, I mean, this is a photography contest. So the photograph only becomes significant because of the story, and it's a good story. You know, the whole idea of the salmon fishery and everything like that. I'm not sure this illustrates it. You know, I would rather see a picture of somebody repairing nets or something that says, you know, that these boats are here, they're being maintained, maybe like they're out of the water, being painted or something. But as it is, it's a, you know, a reasonably attractive photograph with reflections and things like that of the salmon fleet. But as an illustrator of the story, talking about journalism here, it doesn't really capture that aspect. This
City
is
fails to address homeless epidemic. Elderly man sleeps on his overturned wheelchair.
right. Okay, this is another tough one. Living in Santa Cruz, we have unbelievable amounts of homeless, and I photographed some of them, but only after I've talked to them. And I know, you know, I've done some courses at Stanford on street photography, and one of the things we talk about when one of the field trips we always do is to the city, is that 2 things that are sort of off limits. One is people looking at their cell phones. It's become a cliche, and the other one is unhoused people sleeping on the street. And that's also has become somewhat of a cliche, and it can be sort of exploitive. The thing that saves this is the fact that the guy is using sort of the top part of his wheelchair as a pillow. I also like the fact that I can only see his figure, his ear, and part of his face. So there's a certain preservation of dignity here. And I feel like if you're going to photograph unhoused people, then they deserve not to be exploited, but have some sense of dignity. And like I said, you know, that wheelchair gives it a certain significance about this person's life and how they live and everything. It's not just some, you know, guy sleeping on a bench. So this is good.
Intermediate 4 images. 2020 glass fire. A smoke plume rises high above Mount St. Helena. The glass fire burned 67,484 acres, destroyed 1,555 structures, and span 3 counties.
Okay. Good composition. I think I would have moved the camera to the right a little bit. I'm not so worried about the cloud of smoke on the left. If it came up to the edge of that, I would probably do that. I would crop it up to the edge, just move the camera to the right, because it seems like the bulk of the smoke is moving off in that direction. But it's a good illustration. You know, it's like this giant storm cloud of smoke. The composition is well balanced. You have classic 2/3 sky and 1/3 earth in it, and colors are great. The reflection of the grasses and the meadows in the foreground there, and the way they kind of go along with the sky and everything. So color-wise, form, and the lines in it all work together, make a very nice, I understand this is journalistic, but it has a very strong scenic composition. Good.
This is a sequence of 4. I'll read the 4 captions and then turn it over to you.
Okay.
Faces of Dance. 1 of 4. Sonoma County is lucky to have several ballet folklorical troupes that celebrate Mexican dance traditions. In addition to dances and costumes, makeup is an important element. Dancers mid-pandemic need to cover their faces. When the masks come off, joy bursts forth. For El Dia de los Muertos, makeup became an even more elaborate. The masks may still need to go back on, but for now, the performers can smile and dance.
Okay. There's a lot here to like in terms of portraits. I like the way this woman is framed in the doorway. Her attitude, looking over her shoulder with her head tilted. There's a real strong sense of pride there. And you know, and the look, I think she's looking at the photographer, and that draws me in completely. Next. This one actually is my favorite. The background is in her relationship to it, and the way she doesn't blend into the background makes her stand out and jump out. And also the fact that she's not looking at the camera, and that she's looking down. This, of all of them, although the other ones have a lot of sense of joy to them, this has a real sense of thoughtfulness and pensiveness, which is a much more difficult thing to capture. And so I really like this one, actually. It fits the mood. And this one too, the upturn of her mouth, her smile, and so on. I'm not so keen on the background, which is so bright and distracting. I think it should be brought down or framed a little differently. If the photographer moved a little bit to the right and up, could have framed her in that doorway, you know, might have made a difference. The next. And this, you know, here's an example of, you know, if you're familiar with a photographer by the name of Martin Scholler, who does these super tight, you know, chin, the forehead, the ears, and everything with this flat, even, he uses side lighting. And you know, this has been a great possibility to do that. I feel like because there's such comfort, clearly there's some rapport with the photographer and the subjects. And so I would take advantage of that and get on at least 1 or 2, especially on this one with the fancy makeup, would be to come in really tight, chin, forehead, ears, that's it. And to give some variety in what you're doing with the faces. Okay.
Wreaths Across America is a nonprofit that honors our veterans by placing holiday wreaths at national cemeteries in December. This wreath pictured at the San Francisco National Cemetery.
Mm-hmm. So this makes a point. It's very strong. What I'd really like is I'd like to see somebody laying that wreath down. Put a person in there and have them actually in the act. It would be much, much, much more significant and have more of a story to it. Having said that, the layering with the wreath and this stone in the foreground with the other stones and the patterns and the row and everything as they go back and everything. I like that layering. It really works. Layering is not an easy thing to see and do. I would include a little bit, probably a little bit less lawn, maybe move about 6 inches to the left when the picture was taken. But yeah, it's definitely, I'm attracted to that reef. My eye doesn't go anywhere else. That's good. Good use of shallow depth of field too. Okay.
And now, as mandates and protocols for COVID-19 begin to loosen up, people can be seen dining and walking along the Petaluma turning basin following the annual holiday lighted boat parade.
Okay. So much of what we do, and we do photographs that we look for, I can't remember, famous writer talking about perspective in writing. He says, it's all about where you stand. And it's the same thing with photographs. And often it has a lot to do with where you stand. And so the photographer here knew where to stand to capture all this. Technically, it's well done, the exposure and everything, the lining up of the boats and so on. It's a beautiful photograph. It's an attractive photograph. Color, post-processing, everything about it works well. It's nice. Okay.
Advanced, 5 images. Sequence of 3, Paradise Lost. The peaceful community of Boulder, Colorado was shaken by the senseless mass shooting of several residents at a local King Soopers supermarket on March 22nd, 2021. The growing memorial surrounding the King Soopers supermarket became a place for the community to mourn. This spontaneous memorial honoring the victims was an indication of a great feeling of community loss and a place for expression.
Okay. There's a thing with photojournalists, both in TV and in magazines and newspapers, where they say, you know, if you're doing a stand-up, you know, like if you're doing a stand-up interview or something like that, if you're interviewing somebody who, you know, he's an inventor, let's say, for a company, that the real photograph would be the inventor working on whatever it is working on. But the easy way out is usually to stand the person in front of the sign of the company. And so I feel a little bit like that here, in that it's the second photograph is my favorite. And this one, you know, all the rocks, I'm seeing there's things written on them and everything like that. I almost wish that maybe there was a detail, since it's part of a series. Maybe we could use the detail of some of the rocks, or if there's other detailed with messages on them or something like that. I think would really work. Next. This works for me because it has a bit of a drama to it, and I mean the light and the color and everything just work together to suck me right into it. Compositionally, I like the square format in this case, and again, you know, I wish, you know, you could focus on that whatever's written there with a little yellow piece of paper with a heart. Kind of hard to see, but would be good to have some variety. But this is the stronger of the photograph. And again, this fits right in. It's, you know, it's a terrific message. And but since it's a series, I would expect some more variety in the series for sure. In a way, you're sort of borrowing on somebody else's work, you know, somebody else who created the sign or put it there or whatever. And one last thing is, I'd love to see somebody putting the sign up, and I understand that you can't always do that, but that would be the picture. Okay.
Sacramental National Wildlife Refuge, 1 of 3. Snow geese take flight at the Sacramental National Wildlife Reserve. 308,046 waterfowl were counted on November 18th, 2021 at the reserve. Northern pintail ducks are one of the more than 22 species of ducks and geese that migrate to the reserve each winter. The river otter emerges from a canal. It is one of the other 35 mammals, 11 reptiles, 2 amphibians, birds, and numerous fishes that are on the checklist for the reserve.
Okay. I'm going to go backwards here, Bill. So the river otter, you know, catching a river otter coming out of a stream, crawling up over the bank on some mud and everything like that is pretty unusual, I think, to capture something like that, to be there at the right time and to actually have it happen. So that alone makes this photograph pretty neat. What would make it a winner if he was looking over his shoulder at the photographer. But having said that, you know, credit for being there and being there at the right time and whatever patience it might take to have that happen. Yeah. And then the one in the middle. So this one, there's a couple of things.
I got it.
This could be a real nicely layered photograph with layers. But sort of what the stumble is like, for instance, the most prominent duck in the back with his head touching or overlapping with the other duck in front of him, everything. There's a lot of overlapping there. And so when I look at it, there's nothing there strong enough for me to want to go and focus in on. And they're too overlapped and everything to be layered. And then the first photograph.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, that to me looked like somebody put their camera on a tripod and said, okay, cue the geese. I mean, it's just so perfect. And the, you know, in their formation, the position of their wings and, you know, flying in front of the clouds. I mean, I can imagine the photographer who took this. When you take a photograph like it, it's kind of like, okay, I got the snow geese, I can go home. I mean, all the elements are there and just perfect, with a hole in the sky and the clouds and a little bit of land to give you some perspective there and everything. That's a really, really strong photograph. Yeah. Okay.
Sequence of 3, continuity. A team lab continuity, a current exhibition at the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco. You are immersed in an ever-changing, lush imagery that evolves around you. Visual projections onto the walls and floors of the gallery, dazzling flowers, darting fish, propel you to wander and to marvel. You are transformed from viewer to full participant. Move your hands over the wall and flowers shed their petals. Petals may become beams of light. Configurations are limitless.
Is that it?
That's
Okay.
it.
All right. So I think you have to be careful when you're photographing other people's art and calling it your art. And so the challenge here is to not necessarily show the art. Boy, I'd love to go there, by the way. That is beautiful. But is not necessarily to show the art, but to show how it is being experienced. And to that end, the middle photograph with a woman with her hand up on the wall and everything, to me, oh, I'm sorry, not the middle one, be the next one, the last one, I guess. Yeah, where she's actually involved. There's the projection is also hitting her hair and her body and everything, her arm and so on. It really shows what the experience, a clearer look as to what the experience is. The middle photograph gives a strong sense of it's kind of a scene, a place, puts things in perspective, the expanse of the walls and you know how much there is going on there. And the first one also gives you a sense that, you know, it's something that you walk through and it kind of gives you a hint of the space. But for me, the last one with the actual activity of the experience is the one that really sells it for me. Okay.
Sequence of 2, Berkeley High Orchestra. The Berkeley High Orchestra held its first concert in nearly 2 years on December 3rd, 2021. Concerts had been halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The show must go on, but safely. Members played through custom-made masks to the bemusement of many in the audience.
So the first one, I just feel like there's too much going on. And you know, the point is it's his first concert in 2 years, and they all were dutifully wearing masks. And I can see that, but it's just so busy and there's so much going on that I don't get the point. But in the second one, that one, you know, it shows where I think it's a good example where, you know, the part is stronger than the whole. And so here we have like 7 or 8, 9 students, and you can clearly see what they're doing, the challenges maybe that they have. And, you know, you get a sense like, oh, okay, it strongly has a message of like, this is taking place during a pandemic. And it also, it has, because I can see how their instruments are being played through a hole in the mask, the word bemusement comes in more strongly. Yeah. Okay. One last thing on the last one, Bill, is, I'm sorry, is the repeating patterns of the players, their position, their body language, their focus, their intent and everything also makes this a much stronger photograph.
Sequence of 4, Centennial. At Roller Bridge, a 1-lane structure spanning the Russian River between Forestville and Healdsburg, is celebrating 100 years of service this year. Roller is an uncommon example of a pin-connected Parker Truss bridge. Each span is composed of 10 connected panels. One of the unusual features of the bridge is that there are 3 spans rather than just one. The longest span is 230 feet. The entire structure is 768 feet long and 16.7 feet wide.
Okay. And
One more.
Oh, there is
One
one.
more. Sonoma County wants to save the bridge by retrofitting it for seismic events. Planning began in 2013, but problems have caused many delays. Temporary measures have been applied.
Okay.
Yours.
I'm amazed to know that anybody would know that's just a Parker Truss Bridge beside myself. The town I lived in Massachusetts had a Parker Truss Bridge, very old and closed to automobiles. You could walk across it. It was a single span. So I like this as a series because it's reasonably complete. It shows its use. It's got a car going across it, even though it's, you know, it's all old and moss covered and stuff like that. And it, you know, it has the historic bridge sign there that gives it a sense of time. And okay, the next one. And there's this one, and I guess it was the last one that had details in it. And I love the fact that you took and photographed the details, which is what makes it a Parker truss, that and given the way the trusses are connected. So this is a nice photograph, nice balance, nice composition. I will say this is real nitpicking, but the 2 trusses on the lower left and the lower right, anytime you have a line going out the corner, you have to be careful because it can drag your view out the corner. Not so much with this one because they all come together in the middle there with that giant bolt. So I think it works. And the next one, this is just a really nice composed bridge framed with the tree on the left. I think maybe the post-production is a little bit hyper on the orange rust of the bridge and the green and the grass and everything. But compositionally, it's nice. The light is cooperating, is really nice. And it really tells the story of the 3 spans. I love the way the last span disappears into the woods there. And then the last photograph, I also like that, the simple, strong forms of detail. I mean, it tells the story with a cable. Obviously, they're thinking about safety. Even if you didn't describe the retrofitting in the top, you would know that cable was added after the fact. So it works pretty good as a series. Yeah, and you know, there's elements there working for you, like the moss. You know, says like, okay, old, been here for a while. So it gives us kind of sense of time. Okay.
Okay, master, 7 images. Climate change, an atmospheric river storm caused flooding and road closures. Todd Road near Sebastopol, December 23rd, 2021.
Is this a series?
No, this is just one image.
Just the one. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. Okay. So this tells a story, makes a point. There's a car stalled there on the right, waiting to decide whether he ought to drive through. I hope he doesn't. And there's another car, looks like they've decided to do it. My question is, and also there's a lot of things I like about it. I like the curve of the yellow line, the way it kind of curves around and leads you in there. The composition is good. But since it's a story about a flooded road, I would like to see the flood a little more prominent. And I would want to wait for a car to go. I think that's what I would do. I would wait for a car to go through, especially if he's coming towards you, so you can see the water plowing up off of his front wheels or bumper or whatever, and make it a more of a quote unquote flood photograph. I guess I want to see more water. Yeah, there is a lot of water there on the left. I get that, but it's not. It's up to the road, not covering it. I want to see the yellow line disappear underwater. That's what I want. Yeah. Good composition. Yep. Okay.
Single image. Isolation was an issue for many in 2020, especially the elderly. COVID-19 vaccination helped instill hope that those most vulnerable would soon be able to be physically reunited with loved ones.
Okay. That, to me, that photograph is powerful. There's a lot there in her eyes, in her hands. I would, and the composition is good. The way she's framed within the mullions of the window, and you know, the light is good. Everything about it, I really like. I wonder what it would have been like if she had taken and pressed her certificate up against the. I'm assuming that's a vaccination certificate of some sort, to push it up against the window so you could actually read it, and she would maybe be a little bit in the background. You wouldn't even need to have that much of an explanation. Having said that, it is it's a strong image and it's a strong story. It says a lot for sure. Doesn't need a caption, but that's okay. It's good. All right.
Points of 3. Family tradition. In 1969, Henry Trioni converted pasture land into one of the finest polo fields in the West and established the local club, Santa Rosa Polo. Today, Henry's son, Victor Trioni, continues the family support of polo, providing both the playing field and the opening remarks at every match awards ceremony. Victor's grandson, Henry Trioni II, right, is continuing in the family tradition. Trioni Field, Santa Rosa, 2021.
Okay. You know, this isn't a bad establishing shot. It would be neat if the polo players were a little bit more, were closer to the sign. Otherwise, an awful lot of blank field and sky there on the left. But it does establish it. It makes the point. Okay. This I really like. It's interesting in a series, in a competition here was talking about journalism, which is, you know, in large part, frequently is about people. I like some of the information in the background, the bottles of champagne and everything, but what I especially like is this guy and you know, his character in general. You know, I want to sit down and talk to this guy. And I feel like he's got stories. He's got, you know, he's got the look on his face, the way he's dressed, the bandana, his gesture, like he's tapping, I don't know, maybe he's tapping his chest or something. He's animated. And interestingly enough, and the other people, the person on the right watching him, and interestingly enough, the guy on the left who's looking at the camera, that's all right too, actually. It's kind of like, oh yeah, there's other things going on here. But in particular, and also looks to me like it was taken with maybe a 28 millimeter or a 35 maximum. could even have been a 24, but it has a certain sense of intimacy to it, which makes me know this guy and want to know him. That's good. Yep. And this, you know, I have photographed a lot of sports, and mostly, I used to live in Boston, so I used to do all the pro teams there. I used to work for Associated Press, and I've never photographed polo, but given the size of the field, it's like photographing soccer is a bit of a nightmare, because God, it's such a huge field and they're all over the place. And I feel the same way has got to be true with polo, having never photographed it. But the dynamic of this with the person's gesture, the person on the right with the horse with the orange leggings, you know, with his hand outstretched like that, and the polo, what do you call those? A stick or a club? Coming up, bisecting his face. Just there's such intensity in that. And of course there's the ball, which initially when I looked at this, I missed the ball, but you know, there's the ball there. It's got all the elements, and the flattening that a telephoto gives you, you know, it's probably shot with at least a 300 millimeter, you know, the flattening and the blur of the background and everything. It's pretty intense. It's nice. And the ball, you know, jumps out. Okay, good.
Michigan, and over 300 miles long, can generate waves that can top a 35-foot tower in St. Joseph, Minnesota.
Huh. So
Missouri.
Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald was written about Lake Superior and how rough that lake gets, and boats disappear on it. But this is boy, it's just got drama written all over it, and the you know, the dark sky and the wind whipped waves whipping over that little pier there, and the lighthouse and everything. The composition of it, I like everything about it. I probably would I would crop it on the left and the top. I bring it down to bring more attention to that wave that's going over the tops there. But that is a serious amount of water, and I'd love to talk to the photographer, see what it's like standing there on the shore. Intense. Yeah, it's good.
Pre-COVID BDS participants at the 2015 Folsom Street Fair, the San Francisco Bondage and Discipline, Domination and Submission, Sadism and Masochism experience since 1984.
You know, this photograph actually with the guy all tied up and everything there, you know, illustrates what this fair is all about. But for me, what makes it is the guy on the right who's looking at him and laughing, because it gives a sense of there's a certain playfulness in that fair. I photographed it, and everybody, even though it's an S&M type BDSM, I should say, event, there's a sense of comedy and laughter and in it all, and that person kind of there on the edge. I wish there was a little bit more of them, but that to me kind of describes that sort of event. Yeah, and I like appropriate black and white, I gotta say, is also very appropriate to it. And you know, there's a lot of gestures there, the expression on the guy's face, you know, the character of it, and the way he's got his fists down in front of his thighs and everything. It's a pretty strong photograph. I like it. Okay.
A rare display of Yosemite's Horsetail Falls natural firefall occurred on October 26, 21, after the torrential rains of an atmospheric river coupled with the precise angle of sunset lit the cliffs on fire.
So this is always a challenge for me, because I've never seen this. I've seen gazillion pictures of it, and I would give anything to see it. And if I was there, I don't even know as though I would photograph it. I just want to necessarily experience it. So the challenge is in something like this is how to create something which you can't buy in the tourist shop. And you know, as beautiful as this is, and the nice composition, having the edge of the cliff not disappear on the left, with the trees in the bottom there, help kind of give it a sense of perspective and everything. But I think it's still a postcard. And our challenge is that, especially when we do anything to do with nature, is how do we do something that doesn't look like a photograph? How can we make it different? How can we make it our own? So when I look at a photograph, I say like, oh, Jake took that photograph, you know, or Jimmy Chin took that photograph. Okay.
Sequence of 4, Ellis Creek. The Ellis Creek Water Recycling Facility processes about 5 million gallons of recycled water a day. It was designed to create a balance between human infrastructure and nature. The most visible part of the facility are the constructed wetlands where walking and biking paths are available. These paths are often used by photographers and bird watchers. At the lagoons where the final processing takes place, you can find some of the 129 species of birds located at this facility. If you arrive at sunrise, one of the best times to photograph birds, you may find not only a wildlife habitat, but a scenic wonder.
Let's start with the last one. Sunrise, saved by the space in the brush in the foreground with that little gap in there. And I will be the first to admit that I would never let a sunrise or a sunset go by without photographing it. I mean, how can you not? Something beautiful. And most of them are like, oh yeah, okay, that's nice, I've seen that. But this, on the other hand, is, like I said, it's sort of saved by that gap there, which allows you to see, it kind of frames the sun and the sunset and everything. And then the pattern of the trees on the far shore there, the way they're all lined up and kind of filter through the light and so on, makes a better than usual sunrise or sunset, whatever the case may be. I realize this is a sunset, but same philosophy. Okay, next. And these are pintails, I think. Is that what those are? That have the I think they're a male and a female, and have them kind of lined up like that. There's one exception for me where the overlapping doesn't so much bother me. In part because it's just two birds. I like the reflections, I like the composition, and the repetitiveness of the position of the two heads and everything, I think work really well also. Yeah, and the bird in the front clearly dominates. Yeah. This is it's a nice shot of somebody with his camera and a telephoto and a monopod, and it's clear that he's photographing probably birds or something like that. I would love to see what he's looking at, and I think and compositionally, there's a certain balance there with the trees and the limbs in the upper left and the brush and part of the pond in the lower right. I like the way the path leads around to him. And then you've got those birds there, which also kind of give you a hint of what he's up to. I would like to see it a bit tighter though. And I think you could probably just solve that, not with when you took the picture, but after although I'm big for doing all the composition within the frame and no cropping, but I think this could be a stronger photograph if it was cropped down maybe to the top of the fence and a little bit on the right and probably a little on the bottom too. Okay. And okay, the last one, again, strong composition, the way the sidewalks lined up, it has a sense of place because it's done with a wide angle. I like the pink fire hydrant and the juxtaposition of the bare winter tree on the right and the palm on the left, which says something about California and everything. I would love to see somebody walking down that path though, or some other element in there that would draw my eye. And as it is, my eye is drawn towards the doors and everything, and they aren't that significant for me to be drawn to. But it's a good series, good idea for the series. Okay.
We'll take a short
Bye.
break,
Great.
5 or 10 minutes.
Yep. I'll see you. I'll be back in like 3.
Okay, we'll
All right.
take 9 images. Is my sound any better now than it was?
Much.
You know, when you plug it in, it makes a big difference.
Okay. Yeah. No, it works great. You sound good.
Okay, now, there we go. Big Red on the Prairie.
Okay. This, I don't know where this photograph is. It doesn't look like the prairie to me. It looks like, I don't know, it looks someplace up in North Bay or wherever. And it's a, it's a nice picture. It's pretty. The composition is good. It's balanced and everything, but I don't have a reason for being, it doesn't engage me. I don't have a reason for really wanting to go look in the barn or it's just a nice, clean, pretty picture, but with no emotion to it, no sense of nostalgia. And if it is a prairie, that might make a difference. If I could see this huge expanse of prairie behind it or something like that. And also I'll say, and I realize that we're out on road trips and taking pictures. We can't wait for 3 days for somebody to lead a horse out of the door, but that's what I would want. Yeah. Okay.
Cirrus.
This is a really good post-processing. And I'm assuming that's not sky replacement. I don't know why I would assume that, but it's everything obviously came together there with this crazy mirror-like lake and the clouds. I wonder if this is the lake along 280, the reservoir or not. I don't know. Looks a little bit like it. I don't know where it is, but anyway, those clouds have the horsetail clouds have such a sense of movement to them and drama. Nice, good composition, everything about it. Yep. Next.
After the Fire.
This is interesting because I've done a lot of photographs after the fire and during the fire, actually. That was one of the things I've been doing in the last couple of years. And this negative reversal look to it, I don't think it adds to the idea that this was after the fire. I get the message that, trees on fire and they're all blown out and white and everything like that. But I think that it looks more like a sort of an artsy piece. And I'm not sure how the reversal of the dark and the light and everything, I'm not sure how it serves to make a point or to come across as to what it is, but yeah, it's okay.
Sunset at the River Basin.
This, I would say the same comment that I had earlier with the light parade is the same thing, is that the person positioned himself in the right place. Everything cooperated, selecting that time of day where you've got the balance between the skylight and the sunset and the reflection and the lights in the buildings and things like that. You pick the right place and the right time to take the photograph, and it's a pretty photograph. I often wonder though, if there was something a little more close up or something like that would give it a stronger point of interest. I want my eye to go somewhere. So I would crop it. I would crop down the middle of that pine tree and I would crop down the middle of the building on the left. Anyway, okay.
Promise of things to come. People have suggested that the Fibonacci pattern has evolved to ensure that as many seeds as possible are fitted into the seed head as the plant grows.
You know, nice shallow depth of field. I like that. And my eye goes right to the center of that. And I think what that takes is the commitment to look and to notice. I like the way the petal in the back breaks up into the white area there. You know, it's compositionally strong. You know, it's a nice close-up photograph of this plant. But there are others here, well, that good to compare it to. Okay.
Cross River Connector.
So again, there's an awful lot going on in this photograph. You know, I like the patterns on the bridge. I like the three trees on the left, the way they're sort of patterns, a lot of repetitive patterns here with the grates on the chairs, which sort of go along with the bridge and so on. But it's for me to say that, I have to look at this photograph and think about it and study it. And what I would hope for was something with I mean, right now the focus is the plant in the middle, and I'm not sure that that's what the focus should be. I think there's too much going on. Nice light though, and the composition isn't bad, but the focus is definitely not on the connector. Okay. Too many
Friends.
distracting elements. Sorry, go ahead.
Friends.
Okay. Again, I like the way the light breaks through the bench, and you know, the idea of silhouettes. If standing around with three people or four people is friends, then yes, I wish that there was some sort of an arm raised in the air with the fingers, or something more than just people standing around with their hands in a pocket. The second person from the left almost saves it because he's got his arm out, and the guy on the bench, I think he's seated on the bench, he's probably looking at his phone or something like that. But again, it's a nice shot, nice light. I like the rim lighting, but it doesn't really have the emotion that it could have had. I think maybe timing came into effect there. If you hang out, take a lot of pictures, let them move around, so there's a little bit more separation between them, or there's a little more of an activity between them, would have made a big difference. Okay.
Curves and peaks.
All right. This could stand some post-processing. And also the log on the bottom left actually adds nothing to the photograph. The curves really are in that log in the middle there that comes down and kind of swoops down and lands in the water and comes out. It would have been a stronger picture with some different post-processing and also some judicious cropping. I mean, what's really interesting is that peak in the middle and the curve of the log, which gives it more of a contrast, if that's what was looking for. Okay.
Glow.
That word fits this photograph. Excuse me. I like the way that it's stands out from the really dark background, and the color is just wonderful. It's as bright without being overpowering. Is actually a certain subtleness to it, and the repeating of the patterns of the petals, both on top of the flower and down below. I just realized that the top of the flower looks like a coronavirus, but anyway, it being centered like that, the symmetry of it, really works really well. There isn't much you could do to improve that photograph. It just jumps out. Colors, glow. It's a glow. It's great. Okay.
Okay, intermediate, 5 images. Timeless sands.
Boy, nothing like a curve, and those curves that are reflected with the shadow, the edges of the shadow and the sand itself and everything. Nice composition. I'd be curious if there's a little more to the left and a little less on the right. But it's composition is really strong. Post-processing, I like it. Doesn't look out of whack. The sky looks reasonable in that sort of a blue there. And yeah, the composition is good. The light's good. It's got a lot going on for it. And those curves give it a sense of movement, which is also doing something. And at the same time, I'd love to see, you know, a camel walking down along the edge of the shadow on the right there. That's good. It's nice.
Green.
The veins on the, I'm thinking those are veins on a leaf, unless it's looking down an aerial photograph with a drone or something, but looks like a macro shot of some sort. I wish that the line, the dark line, was not disappearing out the corner. I looked at this, I don't know how many times, and my eye keeps going out that corner, keeps going out that corner. It's saved somewhat by the fact that the bottom left is a little bit brighter and it kind of keeps me in that frame, kind of holds me down and everything. But if that is a macro shot, I would play with that again and work it and everything. I think there's a terrific amount of potential there. Okay.
Lodgepole snag along the Bubbs Creek Trail.
Okay. Boy, what a beautiful mountain range that is, and it just inviting. It makes me want to put on a backpack and walk down through that valley or along the top of those ridges and everything. You know, assuming that that's not cloud replacement, I'm going to assume that to make that a beautiful, spectacular picture, you do not need the hypersaturation of the tree and the sky or the clouds. You know, it's compositionally, it's strong. Like I said, that valley, you just led into that valley, and it's bordered by the ridges. It holds you in, and it draws you in. And the starkness of the tree, the way it stands out from everything else, is excellent. You don't need all that saturation to make a good photograph. Yeah, you got a lot going on there that's positive without it. Okay.
Southern Milky Way. Leoncito Astronomical Complex, San Juan Province, Argentina.
That is, I've seen the Southern Sky and the Southern Cross and everything. I've never seen the Southern Milky Way. And boy, that photograph to me is magic and well done. I like that it's slightly more horizontal than usual. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think that's an observatory there in the middle, that sort of that dome-shaped thing. If that were the case, I would love to see some light on that somehow or other, or a little bit more perspective to see what is in the dark area, which is the ground, which would make that sky even jump out, stand out, and be even more significant. It's beautiful. It is gorgeous, though. Okay.
Evening Commute.
I think that's San Francisco, isn't it? And looks like it must be a fairly long exposure with the lights and everything. Wherever the photograph decided to stand to take that photograph and everything, I love the curve that comes out of the corner and continues on across the water. And you know, the lighting on the tower and the cables and everything. It's nice. What makes it different is the location from which the picture was taken. And it's, it's an unusual span. And the longer exposure also really helps. Yeah, and the housing and the lighting across the bay and everything. It's pretty nice composition. Okay.
Okay, advanced, 9 images. Angel hair and granite.
I've just been reading a lot about moving water and photographing it, and with a lot of disagreement in what I was reading, where people say, no, you want that soft look to it, and other people saying like, yeah, but I want to see more movement. And here, down in the darker green water is where I see the movement. And I think also it's a little out of balance with the big boulders, rocks, granite on the right, and the water, just water. I wish there was some granite or boulders there on the left. And I'd also maybe like to see a little bit more of the source of where this was coming, maybe changing the angle a little bit. I would move the camera to the left. Of course, I don't know what was on the left, but it's a good example, of, neutral density filters and really slow shutter speeds. I just feel like it has to have something a little bit more significant going on. Okay.
Stairway leading under a residential entrance in Óbidos, Portugal.
So the stairway and the doorway give it perspective, thank goodness. I don't know how high that arch is or what the stair is, but the composition is great. I'll say this, if Cartier-Bresson took that photograph, there would have been somebody on a bicycle riding through that open portal there, and that's sort of what I want to see. I want to see something. I mean, it's a human landscape, and I want to see something there that says humanity. In part, I get it with the worn doors, the worn door jamb, and the age of the arch and the stucco, where some of the stucco is peeling off and things like that. But it needs a stronger point of interest. It needs something significant going on in that arch, some sort of a point of focus. Okay.
Still life with poppies.
So, I mean, the light's nice. I probably would have wanted some fill on the right or something. But something, there has to be something going on there that says, wow, this is really unusual. And it's pretty, but it's not particularly unusual. And the vase is pretty, the poppies are pretty, and the arrangement, I like that little daisy coming up there in the middle that's kind of surrounded. I wonder maybe if it had been tighter, so that daisy in the middle would have jumped out a little bit. I like the idea of doing a dark background. The things on the table, one I think is a petal, and then the thing on the right, I don't know, it looks like a little frog sculpture or something like that. I find it distracting. I would just as soon see a tighter shot of the vase and the poppies and let it go at that. Nice light, nice arrangement. Okay.
Dos Casas.
So it's a really good composition. I'm clearly curious about that structure, and the position of the structure. Cartier-Bresson, when he talks about, he's a classically trained painter, and when he talks about composition, he often says it's all mathematics. He says it's mathematics and geometry, and so this fits into that mathematics and geometry perfectly. The fact that the log form stands out from the soft contours, it jumps out as a dominant thing in the photograph. It doesn't stick up above the horizon, which again helps it bring you to it, and it stands out more. And the division of the horizon line and the land, and even this swale of trees and brush down in the middle there, help divide that into thirds and everything, which is classic. And even the cabin is off there to the right in the thirds and everything. So it's a gorgeous, beautiful photograph, but I still think that we have to figure out how to, as photographers, it behooves us to figure out, to look at it and say, okay, if anybody else was standing here, would they have taken this picture? And if so, where can I stand, or what can I do where somebody else wouldn't have thought of it? How can I make this different? How can I make it mine? And so on. And so, a lot of it comes down to where you stand. So, okay.
Animalscape, a lone polar bear on the tundra north of Churchill, Manitoba.
So when I looked at this photograph, I thought, like, I would have like zeroed in on that bear, cropped in or something like that. That was my first take. And as my second take on it was like, no, he lives in this huge, huge expanse. And there's nothing there really competing with him except maybe some rocks or a little bit of tundra or something sticking up through the snow on the right, which I don't find really distracting. I mean, a polar bear is a polar bear. He's this big presence. And his body language is standing so straight up on his legs and with his head straight out like that, looking, sniffing or whatever it is that he's doing. It really puts him in a sense of context and place. And compositionally, having him down there, it is a balance, mathematically balanced. He's kind of down there in a third of the picture and everything. It's like I said, on my second look, I was like, nope, I'd leave it just the way it is. It's pretty perfect, actually.
The colors of the Palouse.
I've never been to the Palouse. I have friends that have done workshops up there, though, and come back with photographs, and they're always stunning and beautiful. Someday, maybe I'll make it. But the photograph, I've never seen the photograph like this. This is, I understand in the pictorial category that it's pretty open. If this had been in the creative category, I think, where it really might have been more properly belonged, it would have been a winner. And it's just gorgeous with the patterns, the curves, the lines and things like that. And I think it would have been successful, or maybe even more successful, with a little bit less saturation, or maybe with a lot less saturation, because the lines, the shadows, everything, they're all working together to make a beautiful photograph. I don't think you need to have that real hyper orange, light. And I understand the sun comes across those hills and things like that. But I'm not sure you needed it quite so extreme. Beautiful. It looked good on a wall, no question.
Closeness.
This reminds me of my friend's series on the infrared dead dying flowers. The post-processing on this, I really like. It's got the background and the bud in contrast to the full bloom. It is a beautiful picture of a flower where the stem originates, not quite out of the corner there. It's compositionally is perfect. The balance is perfect. The background, the choice of background, wherever that came from, really highlights the flower in a beautiful way. And the fact that the flower is not completely depth of field. Some of the back petals are not quite as sharp as the ones in the front, I don't think. But yeah, it's a beautiful image. Okay.
Fall's final bow.
So I really like this. It's sitting on first I thought, well, it's on the hood of a car, but no, it's too rough. But I think it really works. And whether you pick the leaf up and set it there, which I'm guessing may very well have happened, that's fine. And it's the droplets of water and the patterns of the leaf and the way you framed it is really excellent. And I like, a lot of times I like corners sort of evenly, but this one here where the light on the left, upper left, looks like a source, and it's coming down, illuminating the leaf above everything else that it's sitting on. It works really well. Well done, well thought out. I don't think I'd change anything in that one. Okay.
A hole in the clouds and a gull flies in.
So I don't know how you cued the gull, but it's great that he's there. And nice layering with the mosses and the I don't know what it is, maybe ice plant or something there, whatever it is. Yeah, there's some ice plant in there that's close to the camera. And it almost looks a little bit like HDR, maybe a little too much HDR. Looks a little bit cartoonish in a way, but the composition is perfect between the clouds and the gull and the layering of the plants and the beach in front of you. And as it moves on, you can see that those plants and things, you know, layered right on out into infinity. And the fact that there are some clouds there on the left, which hold your eye in, help frame the whole picture and help frame the gull. It's good. A little bit too HDR to me for my liking, but looks good. Okay.
Pictorial Masters, 13 images.
Okay.
New Rex Hotel, 407 Broadway, North Beach, San Francisco, circa 2011.
So I like this photograph. You know, what makes it is the figure in the window and that old sign. You know, it's a great subject. I mean, let's face it, part of a lot of what we do in terms of success is the subjects that we choose. And so this is a good choice for the subject. I don't know, when I look at the pictorial ones, I always have these questions about whether was he put in there in post-processing or was this some guy actually in the window? But it works. And the only thing I would do, and the composition is excellent. The only thing I would do differently, I'd like to see that sign a little clearer. I don't want to have to work at realizing that it's a motel. So yeah, it's good. A lot of mystery to it, which I like.
Bombay Beach, California, 2021.
So I understand, you know, I guess maybe there's a certain humor in it to have the SOS written on a bench like that, and who did it or why or whatever. But it's not what I would call necessarily compelling enough to warrant a lot of attention. I mean, it's a bench that somebody wrote SOS on, and yeah, I think, you know, it's an interesting picture. It's nice that you noticed it and that you took the picture. And I'm not sure exactly what else could have been done other than what you did. That's probably the exact same picture maybe that I might have taken. But it doesn't grip me. Okay. Nice composition. This is, yeah, it looks like it's probably a rodeo. Oh, it is a rodeo. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the name there. But, and again, you know, I love the body language of that horse and the person in the saddle leaning into the saddle and everything. And the blurred hooves, the curve of the hoof, and the person gripping the rein, and the fact that person is sharp and the horse's head is sharp. There's a lot of sharpness in there for the pan, so that really helps me. I find the framing with the little the kind of rough kind of edges to the frame, it just doesn't add anything to the photograph really. And I understand it's supposed to probably make it look like it's more archival or timeless or something like that. But you've got so much going on there with a horse and a rider. I don't think you need that. I think it becomes too much of a gimmick. And yeah, and you just don't need it. The one last thing I'll say is, even though everything there that I like, I've been to a lot of rodeos. If this is a quarter horse or something like that, competition, I like to see them going, or a barrel race, I like to see it going around the barrel or something like that, or maybe a little more context around it. But other than that, it's a nice pan and a strong sense to it, strong sense of power and movement. Okay.
Surf in 1/10 of a millisecond, Dillon Beach.
It's a study. It's fascinating. Everything is so sharp, and you think about the explosion that takes place when waves hit rocks and things like that. It probably looks like it must have been a telephoto. It just needs to be more to it. There needs to be a sense of place. And a more a sense of, I mean, when these waves hit the rock, there's a real strong sense of power, the way they slam up against them. But when I look at this, it doesn't have that. It's just a interesting, almost sort of a scientific study of what's his name, Eggleston, who photographed water drops. Yeah, it's more of a study to me, and doesn't necessarily have a emotion to it or a feeling of power of water hitting rocks and ocean and giant boulders and things like that. Okay.
Mount Bachelor in Bend, Oregon, rising out of the morning frost fog.
Nice light, a real strong sense of mood and ambiance. The trees framing it on the right in particular, but also on the left, and the darker cloud over there helps. And the sort of the light breaking through there on the slopes and the peaks and everything has a real strong sense of mood and ambiance and everything. And it's not necessarily grim. It's more about drama and I feel like it would be better if there was a certain symmetry to it. It's weighted awfully heavy on the right, but it's a great timing, nice light. I wonder what it would look like if it was cropped square. I think it would be stronger actually. Okay.
Look.
So this is interesting. I love the mystery of it. And I spent a little bit of time trying to think, like, is that through glass or through a grate? What is that? Then I quit and I decided, no, it's not important. It's very graphic. I love the patterns in it. The light is nice. And I often like photographs where there's a difference between being puzzled by a photograph than a photograph having a sense of mystery. And this has a sense of mystery, and it wouldn't take too much more context or a little bit of a cut line where it would be even, a caption that would have even more significance than it already has. So yeah, let your imagination go. I think this picture was taken in Saudi Arabia, go figure.
Autumn in New Hampshire.
Well, I used to live right almost there, but I don't know where this was taken in New Hampshire, but that is a New Hampshire fall scene for sure with those, I don't know what those are, if there's camps, or if they're camps, they're pretty elaborate. But anyway, the colors are, of course, stunning. And I think they're a little bit oversaturated. If the photographers, all they did was to move the saturation or the vibrant slider, and they didn't have to do anything else, then I would say that just do it a little bit less. You know, one of the things about photographs is that I feel like on certain scenes, especially like this one, which is a kind of a document or a record of a beautiful scene, that if it's oversaturated, it loses its veracity. And so, or integrity. And so I think you have to play it down a little bit. There's plenty of color there without moving the slider quite so much. I could be wrong, but having lived in New England for 30 years, I think it's just a slightly overdone. And it deserves to be overdone a little bit, right? Because that's the way you saw it and that's the way you remember it. But you want other people to look at it and say like, oh yeah, that's fall New England, rather than look at it and say like, that looks a little artificial. You don't want somebody thinking that. Okay.
Evening light on the Laguna.
So this has a certain subtlety to it, which I like. And the reflections are nice. And I wonder if if this is the same area where the photographer did the picture of the trees reflecting that we saw earlier. But anyway, I like that one tree, the way it stands up out of the water, and in contrast to everything else, standing there solo by itself, and stretching up into the sky like that, with this beautiful subtle pastels. The color and the range, the more subtle range, I think really works for this. It has a very inviting, soft, calming feel to it. And I like that. The only thing you need is an eagle just coming in there and landing on those top branches. That would really send it off. Good. All right.
Squirrels, look out.
This was interesting. I love this photograph. I love the patterns of the rocks, and I like the weathered wood. And interesting that there's not a window jamb on the bottom. It's just around the sides and the top and everything. And it's interesting because I looked at this photograph for a while, and then I thought like, oh wait, oh my God, look, there's a squirrel looking out the window. And that completely changed it for me. And so what I would say is that come up on the bottom and the left and get the squirrel in there a little bit more obvious for the viewer. So the viewer, I don't believe you necessarily have to hit the viewer over the head, but a little bit, tap them on the head works pretty well. And to make that squirrel, because that squirrel is really, I mean, it's a nice picture with the patterns and everything, but it's a squirrel that like, wow, look at that timing and so on. That's good. Okay.
A chance encounter with a transparent balloon.
So this took me a long time. I think the balloon is down there near that Ferris wheel, or in front of the camera between you and the Ferris wheel or something. It couldn't figure out.
Nothing's moved.
Is that a bubble or what is that? But anyway, I love the composition. I love the movement of the chairplanes. It makes me sick to my stomach just by looking at it. But yeah, the balance between the sky and the ride and everything is terrific. And the framing of the Ferris wheel down there with the kind of the riders stretching out on the right there, and the way they're over the top of it but don't overlap it. And this, I can hear the sounds, I can hear the noises and the music and everything. It really does it for me. It's nice, good composition. Okay.
Trunks.
All right. Trunks. I love it when photographers zoom in on the detail, and there's such beauty in that detail. And you know, compositionally, it's completely classic thirds, and the contrast and the textures between where the bark is peeled off on the right, but is intact on the left and everything. You know, that's a picture that you know, it's a picture that was noticed, paid attention to, and then figured out how, like, okay, how can I, you know, record this so somebody else has a feeling that you know, the contrast between the textures and and whatnot, and the balance of composition. It's good. Nice light, good post-processing.
Dance like nobody's watching.
So this is great. I see a lot of wedding photographs, and you know, this couple, if this is from a wedding, would be just absolutely in love and delighted with this photograph. The light coming out from the tree that's darker on the left, and they're standing there in the brightest spot on the road, and you know, the body language, him leaning forward, you know, with his hips and everything to get his arm over her head, if that's what's happening, and both of them kind of looking off like that instead of at the camera. It just has a real sense of its borders on surreal. It's very dreamy. And trying to think what I would do different, but to be honest, I'd be happy to take that picture. I like the tree on the right, and the darker trees, and the trees on the left, and everything works really well. I'd love to know what went on in post-processing, but whatever, it works. It's excellent. It's beautiful. Okay.
Elephants and bird in Mosul, Kenya.
I would have titled this family. But yeah, I like the two elephants kind of shrouding, protecting the baby in the middle, and the fact that there's a bird on there also, I think, has something, is a real contrast to the size and strength and the power of these two elephants. Composition is great. It's balanced mathematically, like I said, that Bresson would approve, and the good post-processing, the clouds are totally appropriate to the light, and you know, it's not a wide angle, it's not a super telephoto. The person had to be reasonably close to him, I think, anyway, to get this. And yeah, it just has a real sense of mass and strength to it, and yet with the clouds and the light, it has a real strong sense of peacefulness to it also. Yeah, it's good. Okay.
Okay, we've covered all of the images.
Wow.
Very good. So we'll take a quick break, 5-minute break, and then
Okay.
we'll announce the winners.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Bill, is there non-compete?
There were no non-competes, Terry. Oh, that's that Nancy or Terry?
That's me. Yeah.
Bradford Washburn. Darn, that just came into my mind, Bill.
Okay.
Bradford, look him up. He's you know, this is a guy who climbed McKinley, spent a lot of time in the Alaska range, carrying a 4x5 or an 8x10 view camera.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was the director of the Boston Museum of Science, I believe. You'd have to look that up. And but his photographs of the Alaska range and of the slopes around McKinley and everything are just stunning, just beautiful. He doesn't get, he's like the Ansel Adams, he had that look to him. He didn't get anywhere near the amount of credit that he should have. He was a scientist that carried a 4x5 camera around.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really good. All black and white. Photographed back in the, I'm not sure, I think 40s, 50s, 60s maybe? I don't know. I didn't look him up. His name just popped into my head. He died, I'm not sure how long ago, but I know he was alive when I was in Alaska.
Hmm.
I'd have to look him up. Yeah. I'm going to see Bradford Washburn. You should definitely look him up. If you're into outdoor photography, nature, scenics, or anything like that, he's worth a study.
Bradford Washburn.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a Wikipedia thing on him. Yeah, he's listed as an American explorer. Henry Bradford Washburn, American explorer, mountaineer, photographer, and cartographer. He established the Boston Museum of Science. Oh, he established it. Served as its director from 1939 to 1980. That's incredible.
That is incredible.
Yeah,
That's
the
amazing.
place was huge. He died in 2007. Yeah. Huh. He has the first ascents on Mount Lusania, Mount Dickey, Mount Sanford, Mount Hayes, Mount Crillon, and more. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll jump right to the announcing the winners.
Sure, let's do it.
And Steve, are you here? Did you want to read?
Sure.
do
We'll
this?
see how the timing works split between the two of us.
I told
Right.
my friend what happened with my boss. And she's like, I can't imagine you like doing all that. Like being kind of like stubborn.
Can the
and-
person who's speaking mute themselves, please? Thank you.
Okay, creative, we have 3 winners. Sorry, I gotta get my cursor right place.
Oh, I have to get my screen in the right place. One moment.
Yeah, if it's, maybe it's easier just for me to do it, Steve, because I can see what's coming. But if you'd like to, go ahead.
Why don't you go ahead and try this? That way you have the experience of doing an entire competition.
Okay. Now that I have my microphone plugged in. So 3rd place award is to Elizabeth.
Thank you. This was from our field trip at Neve, which was amazing. And I used 2 filters on this. I used the swoosh first, and then I used oil painting in addition to that. So thank you so much.
Sure.
Congratulations.
Yep.
2nd place goes to Mark Hollinger.
Yeah, hi. First of all, I've really enjoyed the judging. I learned a lot tonight, so thank
Oh,
you.
good.
Yeah, I do a lot of macro, and people here know I don't do a lot of post-process, and I just used a negative image of it in photos. So, but I like the original photo of it, and I thought it caught some detail with the web and so forth.
Huh. Yeah, I love the fact that the web's there. It makes a huge difference.
Thank you.
Okay, and 1st place, Lucy Aaron,
Hmm.
who I don't
Is
think
she
is here
here?
tonight. Is that right?
Here.
She is or isn't?
Oh, okay, then moving on to,
Beautiful.
Quick question, is Lucy a designer of some sort?
She's fairly new, so I don't think we're really that familiar with her background.
Yeah, looks like she's a designer the way it's because it's so designed, you know?
Mhm.
Okay.
Intermediate creative, 5 images. We have five awards. Honorable mention to Fritz Carlson.
Now, this is something that we took at the up in Fairbanks. It was a real pain to clear out the background, which is a bunch of stacked up in the background,
Ah, okay.
and then put in that fake sky.
Mm-hmm.
This particular sculpture won 3rd place in the realistic category, which
Wow. Did,
Bill,
hard to believe.
did you see people carving them?
Yes, we did. We did.
That would be a good shot too.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have some of those.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. And using the northern lights in the background, totally appropriate.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Very good. Congratulations.
Bill, press the M key.
Oh, right. Second honorable mention is Sherry Oster.
Oh, I don't think Sherry's here tonight, is she? I don't think she's here tonight.
Okay, 3rd place, Pat Carlson.
Oh, Pat, you're muted. Pat, you need to unmute.
Sorry, I think you've been an excellent judge. It's a little surprising after your comments, that, but thank you very much. I thought they were on target.
Okay.
So appreciate it. Appreciate all the things you've said about the other images too, that it's been a learning experience for me as well.
Something I should have started out with, that when you're in a group and somebody's critiquing somebody else's photograph, that's an opportunity to learn a lot.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? You always learn from other people. Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
2nd place. Oops. Wrong cursor, right? 2nd place, Laura Stansfield.
Thank you. That was my first trip to the Alabama Hills,
Mm.
where this was taken. And yeah, I've been playing around with the lens ball a little bit, trying to find opportunities to use it. So.
I've never seen one used, so it's interesting to see you use it like this. I think you did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Appropriate. Yeah.
Very nice.
In 1st place, goes to Ellen, Dancing in the Desert.
Thank you. I entered this before and the judge didn't even give it an honorable mention. So I'm really happy. I worked on it since then, but to me, this is in Morocco and I had a fairly standard travel photo. I mean, which this is, but I just, it didn't convey what I felt, which was all the whiteness of their gowns and the blackness of their faces and colors in the background. So
this, you know, the one thing I didn't mention when I looked at this earlier, when I look at this, and I think the feeling I get away from it is hot.
Yeah, it was actually
I can feel
in January, so it wasn't that hot, but it was still in the desert.
But it just feels like desert, Mideast, you know, heat. It's yeah, light, harsh, you know, harsh light, all of that. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Did a
Love
good
it.
job.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Put that on a wall.
Okay, advance for awards. Honorable mention goes to Tricia for play.
I did a lot of work on this. It was a shot taken from the car on the way home from a very long trip. And I saw this sign and I thought, oh, and I was doing a lot of motion blur anyway. So I just thought it would make a really cool flying carpet. And I think what I'll do is go back and shoot her again and then blend the two and see if that makes it any sharper. But thank you very much for your comments.
I'm not sure I'd want a razor sharp. right?
No, but just a little
You want-
sharp.
You want it to fit in with the rest of the blur, but just a
Right.
little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Very clever idea. I love that.
Thank you. There wasn't really that much money at the beginning.
It works to have more money for sure.
Sorry, third place goes to Jennifer.
Oh, well, thank you. This is in the Eastern Sierra, and I just loved what the light was doing.
Mhm.
But it's, I think I was in a sort of a dark place when I was
When you're-
making titles for it, but
Uh,
it's like the last gasp
of light. Yeah.
of light. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your comments.
Congratulations, Jennifer. It's
Congratulations.
wonderful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very nice.
In second place, Ronnie.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you, Neal. I liked your comments, and yeah, I mean, I played around with a few titles, and I thought this one was appropriate
Mhm.
for the time.
Was I accurate in my thing about beauty exploding or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I have been playing around with the idea of of an exploding flower, and I finally figured out how to do it, and this is exactly what I wanted.
Huh.
Without danger.
Those of you who are photographing flowers, you should log in and you can write this down. Look up Becky Logan.
Okay.
BECKYLOGAN, and look at her infrared flowers.
Okay.
She would bring flowers into her room and then let them sit there and dry out and die, and then photograph them. She said her office looked like a mortuary.
Thank you.
Yeah, but that's nice. I love the concept too.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yep.
Really nice. I love this.
First place goes to Phil.
Oh, cool. Yeah, these are indeed mushrooms. They were in my neighbor's yard, and I was making quite a scene laying on the sidewalk taking photos while there were a lot of people going for walks and walking their dogs, and they're all going around me. And so,
Very worthwhile.
yes, thank you.
Great color.
Yeah, it's a cool image.
Nice.
Makes me think of, I'm reading a book right now called Finding the Mother Tree. I don't know if any of you read it or not, but it's a lot
I
of,
read it.
okay,
Good
so
book.
I never look at the forest the same after reading that book.
No.
And there's an awful lot about funguses and whatnot and how they connect trees with
Oh, yeah.
they're like neurons. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Great book.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Creative Masters, 4 images. First honorable mention goes to Anne.
Yay.
I thank you. This is a redwood tree that has been burned and hollowed out, but is still surviving. And so anyway, thank you very much.
Sure. My
Congratulations.
suggestion would be to work this again and bring out the char,
Uh-huh.
bring out the burn.
Bring it out a little bit, but I guess I was more focused on the foliage,
Mhm, mhm.
the living part.
Right, but the burn is what gives the living part significance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Totally. Yeah.
okay, nice.
Third place was Steve Ruddy.
Love this.
I wondered who that was. That's
You know, me too.
Gorgeous.
Is Steve here tonight?
No, but I know this. I've seen this before. It's fantastic. I think
Gorgeous.
I think this is the Laguna, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's meditative.
It would look great upside down too.
Oh, yeah.
In second place
Yeah.
goes to Nancy,
Oh,
Chasing the Dream.
Yay.
nice.
Terrific. The women's roller derby in Santa Rosa.
Oh,
A few
okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
was, yeah, just gotten back the day before from a month and plus in Bangkok. And yes, I sat next to you, Tricia.
Yes.
For the master. I actually, it's a composite by itself. I thought it needed a little something social. Chasing the woman just a little northeast of her there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And added those extra little wavy things. So that was quite nice. And I chose it because it did have one point of focus. So thanks.
Yep. Yeah. It has a lot of energy to it. It's nice.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Neil.
In first place goes to Mike.
Oh,
Yeah.
the grandson.
Yeah.
Grandson.
You're the grandson.
Yeah.
Great image.
That was the sky I took in Mono Lake. It was outside Mono Lake. The
Yep.
city was San Francisco early one morning, and then the road there was, I took that shot in just outside of Ferndale, up by Eureka. And then, of course, my grandson, he was jumping off some gym equipment at a kid's gym here in town. So it was a lot of fun to try and do that, and a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But
There's a lot of work in there. How long did that take you anyway?
well, it took a number of hours because the road, in order to get the road like that, I had to do 3 or 4 different shots of the road at different angles to get it like that. So thank you very much for recognizing it. I appreciate it.
Great image, Mike.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful shot. Great shot.
Very cool, Mike. There's a young Scandinavian photographer, I can't think of his name, but he does a lot of something similar to this. Are you familiar with it?
No.
No, he does things like, he's got one where a bunch of people are hanging a moon in the sky, and it's like the moon company, and they're working out of the back of a van. He does all very surreal. I mean, it's really surreal like this.
I was following a photographer named Gary McIntyre who was doing a series on composites. And this is where I got the impetus for this.
Congratulations. Okay, journalism. Basic, 2 awards. Honorable mention to Elizabeth.
You're muted, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I spend a lot of time out at Spud Point with my husband, and it's so sad to see all the boats in dock, but I will keep working on this. Thank you.
Sure. That's a good story. I would be curious as to how those people are affected.
It was shocking that the commercial guys will only go out 30% of the time this year.
Right.
I mean, that's a big hit on somebody that's their livelihood.
Yep.
But it's all a cycle, and it's about protecting the industry so that they have the job for next year. And so that's really important. And all the reports about the fish in the new streams is just remarkable. So that looks really promising for the fishery in the years to come.
All right, great. Yeah. Okay.
In first place goes to Amy Levine.
Congratulations, Amy.
Thank you. So your points, Neal, about the shooting with dignity are well taken. I think for me, it was the wheelchair that really
Well, yeah,
put the top for me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
It just has a strong emotional impact, and I was hoping to convey that.
Yeah, no, I think it does. The idea of being unhoused is one thing, but being unhoused and confined to a wheelchair, that's a whole nother, like, are you nuts? You know, I mean, that's just crazy.
Right, and having to sleep in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Good job, Amy.
Nice.
Nice job. Nice composition.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Intermediate, 4 awards. Honorable mention to Sherry Oster.
Oh, congratulations, Sherry. I'll let her know.
Okay. Third place, Ellen. For Faces of Dance.
Thank you. Your comment was that I wasn't that close to the people. I was watching a performance and just zoomed in.
Ah, okay. Yep.
I would like to get to know them more and
Uh-huh.
do portraits because I love this group.
Your suggestion would be, I mean, I recommend, whether you are a professional photographer or not, you should have a card that says photographer. And when you take people's pictures, hand them out. And then tell them, say, if you would like a picture, email me and I'll send you one.
Oh, you're not going out there.
If you say, give me your address and I'll email you a picture, you're going to be inundated. You'll spend the rest of your life sending people pictures. But if they have to email you, it'll kind of winnow out the people that are really interested. Good way to get to know them.
Good idea.
And then if you go back and photograph them again, give them a print, you know, be a you know, an advocate, a diplomat, so to speak. Yeah, good.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Second place goes to Laura.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just nice to see all the people out and with everything being shut down for so long. Although now we're getting shut down again, but I appreciate all your input, comments.
Okay.
Congratulations. First place goes to Pat. You're muted, Pat.
Sorry, I try to mute so that background noises won't come in and disturb the rest of your listening. Yeah, we were actually evacuated during this fire, and we were evacuated to a place that we owned that was burned in the Kincaid fire.
Oh,
and I
wow.
thought, you know, I had a great view of the glass fire from our burned location, and I just went for it. It was a rare moment.
Yeah.
We weren't inundated with smoke.
It's a dramatic perspective to see that column of smoke like that, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Congratulations. Now we go to advanced. We have 5 awards. First honorable mention for the Sequence Paradise Loss for Linda.
Oh, thank you. I really learned a lot from what you're saying. I don't normally enter journalism, and it's really neat to learn about what to look for. It was kind of a disaster. My parents live right across the street from this, and they heard all the shooting and everything going on. So it was really
yeah,
kind of special to me. It was kind of pretty scary to them, but thank you for I really learned a lot about what to think about for this category. Thank you.
When you're thinking about any kind of series, what I would suggest is think about the way a cinematographer would. Like when they're making, they think you know, tight, medium, wide.
Okay.
Or you know, that's or they think sometimes they think B-roll. In other words, the cutaways, right? So you have the general sign, then the cutaway is like maybe a rock which says, "I'm so sad this had to happen, this happened," or something like that, you know. Those are your cutaways. So you build sort of variety in the series.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Sure.
Congratulations.
Thank
you.
Honorable mention to Centennial to Jennifer.
Oh, well, thank you. I had so much fun working on this, climbing around under the bridge and walking through the mud, and then reading up about it, you know, looking it up on the internet. I didn't know about
Parker Trust
these bridges. Yeah, I'd never heard of that, but anyway, it was really fun to learn about, and thank you for your comments.
We all learned a lot.
Educational, really educational.
I love your details, and that shot right there is I really like also.
Oh.
Which one? That
Oh,
one?
well, that one just shocked me that cable is supposed to keep that bridge from
Wow.
From pulling off, it's,
I had that same thought.
Yes, me too.
Wonderful, wonderful images, Jennifer.
Yeah.
very, very nice.
Okay, third place goes to Bob. Continuity sequence.
Yeah, thank you. This is a great show at the Asian Museum in San Francisco. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the museum has recently been not, you know, it's been expanded and they've redone a lot of the galleries. And they've obviously included a lot of graphics capabilities and interactive capabilities, you know, with digital media. And this group that put this on is based in Japan, in Tokyo, and they were selected for the first show at these galleries.
Nice.
And it's really worthwhile to go.
There's a show in San Jose, I think it's right now, actually, of Van Gogh in a similar way, digital projections and walls and things like that, all with Van Gogh. It looks very similar to this. Yeah. Nice.
Nice thought.
Nice.
Yeah, really nice.
Second place goes to Bill Clark.
All right.
Wow.
I don't think Bill's here.
Great shot.
Yep. Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. No, is that the truth though? Boy.
Okay, and first place goes to Gary.
Great image.
Thank you. That was about a month ago over in Sacramento, of course. And you know, there you have to photograph from inside the car. So you put the camera on 1/2000th of a second, and then you catch the action as it goes by out the open windows. You're trying to drive down the road.
Really, they don't let you out of the, you aren't supposed to get out of your car.
No.
No, there's two places. There are three places that you can get out and stretch. There's one place that has a restroom, but the rest of it, because that reserve belongs to the wildlife. It doesn't belong to us, and we're just visitors.
Oh, nice.
So they don't want anybody out of the car.
Wow.
And anyway, so that's I wanted to try to give you know, something about how many birds were there, and that we had lots of species. And there were also different animals that was there. And that was a stroke of luck having the otter, because all of a sudden here, you know, if I didn't have the camera ready to go, I couldn't have got him, because there was just a little body of water that goes along, you know, and he was swimming in it. And I was trying to get him, but he was swimming fast. So I had to move the car up and take a shot, move the car up.
Wow.
And then just as he got out, I managed to get about 3 shots.
Nice.
And
Maybe
so,
Marnie
and then
should
he
have
was gone.
driven.
Yeah. And he disappeared so fast. They are so quick.
Yeah, they are.
So anyway, that's what it was. So thank you.
Great photos. I've been to that wildlife refuge many, many times, and it's a great place to stop between Sacramento and Redding and points north. Nice images.
So you can stop the car and take photographs, but you just can't get
You have
out?
to go into the refuge.
Yes.
It's a drive around, so it takes time out. It's a dirt road. So you just have to plan your time for a break.
And this is the time of year, there's 2 months out of the year when you have all the geese and stuff, because they come down from the Arctic. So you have all these, and then as you know, like up in Oregon, things freeze up. So they come down to the Central Valley, you know, once Klamath starts freezing up for them, you know. So it's a one of those time things you can do during Christmas holidays and wintertime.
Nice.
Nice.
Great. Good information. Nice photograph.
Okay, 5 awards for masters. Honorable mention to Nancy.
It's a Nancy pick.
It's a moment to capture. I love that. And, I hope sometime I can go back. It's getting harder to photograph even then, but you caught everything that I saw. Him looking, laughing, and just the whole thing. To me, it captures It captures it.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's an odd thing when you tell people about it, right? But having been there, it's a total, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it is people having a great time. It's a weird thing.
They are.
Yeah,
It's joyous.
yeah, totally joyous. Yeah,
People able to let their freak fly.
yeah.
It's fascinating. It's also very fascinating.
I had a student at Stanford and he participates in this, right? He's in one of my photo classes. And I told him, I said, you know, I've been to 2 of them and I love photo. It's a great opportunity to photograph. But I said, it's a little voyeuristic and I feel a little uncomfortable. He says, well, you know, the solution to that is, and I said, what? And he says, well, take your clothes off. And I said, well, that's not going to happen. Sorry. Anyway.
Okay, honorable mention also goes to Mike for Ellis Creek.
Thank you very much. I go to Ellis Creek all the time and I don't do journalism very often like Linda. So I thought, well, what could I do? And well, I go there, I might as well try this. So thank you.
Yeah.
Nice angle.
You know this inside and out.
It's also, you know, I got to say, it's an important story. I think, you know.
Yeah. Love that one, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, third place goes to me.
All right.
Polo.
Is me
Mr.
here?
Polo.
So I struggled with this. I really wanted to enter this picture, this image.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure that I had enough of a story. And so I added the other two just to sort of build the family tradition thing. Now looking back, I'm wondering if I made the right decision.
Oh, yeah. I you know, the horse photo is amazing. And I looked at this earlier and didn't notice a ball for some reason or other. But, you know, sports photographers, if you work for AP or something like that, you take a photograph of a basketball game and you don't have the basketball in there, forget it. It'll never get used, right? And I wasn't sure if polo is the same way, but is that right, Bill? It is?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The ball is important.
It seems like that game must move so fast. I've never seen a polo game. So
it's a big field.
Yeah, and it's huge. Yeah.
It helps to get a long lens and have them coming toward you to get an angle.
Yeah.
So there are certain spots at the goals where they have to come toward you. And that's usually where you get shots like this.
How long is your lens?
This is 800 millimeter effective.
Oh,
Gee.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Very sharp.
See, when I took this, it was,
Says 400.
yeah.
But it's, you see the
Yeah,
second.
so it was wide open. It's a 400 millimeter micro
okay.
4/3.
Oh,
Micro 4/3, so it has a 2x crop factor.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's on Olympus.
So that's how you get the 800 millimeters. So I had it wide open to take this shot.
Will that follow focus pretty fast?
Yeah, Olympus has a pretty fast
job. Yeah.
automatic focus.
Very cool.
That's why I bought it. In fact.
Yep.
He gets
Okay.
bears on the run too.
And second place goes to Tamara.
Oh.
Really cool.
Still here?
Oh, well, thank you. I obviously my mother. She was so excited about getting vaccinated, and I thought, even though you can't, knows what the little vaccination card looks like now.
That's
And
your
she's in a
mom?
retirement home, so I couldn't go in and say hi to her.
Oh,
My
bummer.
mom, and she was showing me she just got her vaccination.
That makes it more
It's the
special.
first time. That was, like a year and a half ago. Whatever. Yeah. Thank. And I love Neal. I just learned so much from you. I really enjoy you.
Thank
you.
Yep. Thank you.
In first place, Tony.
Yay.
That was you, Tony.
Tony pick.
Tony's probably sleeping already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Past his bedtime.
That's a great shot.
I'll call him and wake him up.
That is pretty amazing. That's a pretty amazing.
Yeah, I
know.
saw this one before and I was like, oh, that looks like a winner.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Yeah, I had to come down on the left and the bottom to get that. I mean, it's all right there in that building and that wave. Out there.
Just
Very cool.
stunning.
I grew up on Lake Michigan and it gets even more spectacular than this.
Really? Ah,
How do those buildings survive?
Yeah.
Very, very deep foundation.
yeah, they have to.
Good
Yeah.
Midwestern, good
Good.
Midwestern construction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the water's frozen half the year.
So that's yeah.
That's probably helpful.
This looks like
That's
a
a-
winter storm. I don't know if it is or not, but it sure looks like winter. But there's no ice, so
Lots of triangulation in the construction.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay, moving on to Pictorial. We have 4 winners in basic. Honorable mention goes to Mark Hollinger.
Oh,
Congrats, Mark.
Just slow on the draw. This is over by oh god, it's slipping me. It has a Japanese name over off of Fountain Grove. Little tiny lake over there.
Nagasawa.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I know that.
It's just a bunch of guys hanging out, and I snapped some shots at sunset. So.
Nice.
Were they moving around? And did you have time?
Well, it's kind of funny. Your observations were good because I started to take photos, and they got comfortable. I go, hey, I'm not a weirdo. Just wanted to catch the sunset with you guys, and they were cool with it. But it was a little posed after that.
70 millimeter, you're fairly close.
Yeah, I was trying to get it kind of natural before, but anyway.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
3rd place. Mark, again.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah. I not much to say. It's just because I don't know what to say on this one. It's just I was just taking flower photos and had it on small aperture with a flash and turned out okay.
Oh, with the flash.
Bees in bloom.
Bees and blooms is I go there a lot.
Yeah, it's a cool flower.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I love the color and glow and the petals. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Really nice.
Thanks a lot.
Did you hold the flash over it, or was it on the camera?
I have a ring flash, and I just as all of you know, I do a lot of macro, and so I really crank up the aperture on it, and then I like that blacked out effect, and that's how I get that
Sure.
effect
So,
with it.
ring flash, that explains it. That's nice. Good use.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was neat.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
2nd place. Dan. Dan here tonight?
Haven't seen it.
I don't think so.
Beautiful sunset. And
Yeah.
nice. I thought that was Laura's.
Yeah, me too.
Where's River Basin?
Turning Basin, it's downtown Petaluma.
Oh, okay.
It's right where the river ends and the boats used to turn around back in the day. When the big
cool.
boats come up, they turn around there. So it's called the Turning Basin.
That's pretty.
Okay, in 1st place.
Oh.
Lucy. Lucy
Nice.
Byron.
Looks like Nicosia Reservoir.
Yeah.
That's stunning. Really pretty.
Sure is.
Absolutely
Very
Nice.
nice.
grays and
Yep.
Okay, intermediate pictorial. Honorable mention goes to Sherry.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Sherry will be very pleased.
Very pretty.
Is that a leaf? Does anybody know?
Sherry's not here.
Okay.
Looks like a leaf.
Looks
It
like
is
a
a
leaf.
leaf, I'm sure.
Believe to me.
Yeah.
Looks like that to me too.
Okay, honorable mention also goes to Fritz.
Yeah, this is a photo I took 7 years ago. I've been working on that tree for 7 years. And there's a new object selector in Photoshop that tricked me, and I was able to select the whole tree.
Uh-huh.
And like Neal says, I kind of bumped up gliders a little too much, but I'll come back.
You know, you could just go in the, you could take that photo in Lightroom and just drag down the vibrant slider and it'd be there. You wouldn't have to do anything else, I bet. It would all come into, it would all come into like, oh yeah, this is what it looked like and it's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
HSL slider.
Third place goes to Laura.
Ah,
Where
Thank
is
you.
that?
I went over by myself when I was hiking around Treasure Island, so it's up on top of Treasure Island.
Oh, I could not figure out.
Nice.
And then they kept telling me they wouldn't close the construction gate behind me when I went to go leave. Luckily, I got out of there. But yeah, I was exploring the island one night taking photos.
You're so brave.
glad you did that.
You didn't have to spend the night. Good.
Second place goes to Ellen.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Shot on.
Full image.
Ellen got disconnected.
Oh,
And
no.
I don't think she can get back in, but I'm gonna text her right now
Okay.
and let her know.
Give her.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where, does it say where that is? No.
Love the colors.
Mm.
Almost looks like Big Dune.
Yeah, the Great Sand Dunes in Colorado look like that too. Those
Yeah,
a
right.
neat place to photograph.
Yeah.
Mm.
She was in Morocco though, so I bet that's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's right, yeah.
So I was right on about the camel. It should be a camel.
Uh-huh. I like the camel
Camel.
idea. Yeah.
Thought I was
I
being
think there is a camel there.
Buried up to his neck.
Okay, first place goes to Pat.
Oh, Pat.
Wow, nice.
Oh,
Full
Thank
image.
you. Thank you so much. I will work on that observatory. It's a good idea. Bring
Is
it out a little bit.
that an observatory down there?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Yeah, that would give it even more perspective, that human element and a little bit of detail in the ground if there's anything there, you know. Not a lot, just subtle. Yeah,
That's a great idea. Thank you.
yeah. that's
Spectacular.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Advanced, 5 winners. Honorable mention, Tricia.
I almost pulled this and now I wish I had. I have a much larger version of it that I like even better than this one. And I will tone them down just a little bit. But what I love about that area is the colors that you see in the early morning. We got up at 3 in the morning.
Oh my God.
Shots.
Oh my
Huh.
And,
What time of year was that, Tricia?
oh, I'd have to ask Joel. I think it was summer. Or Jennifer. Do you remember?
It looks like spring.
It was spring. It was spring.
Spring? Well, see, I don't know.
Because we thought, we talked about going back in the fall, but this
It was created in June 6th.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks.
thinking that might be summer.
You know what? That would look great on a metal print on a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous
I think-
metal print.
Big one.
Mhm.
I think Tricia, you should enter it in creative next time. I like it as it is.
Yeah. I love the bold colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you should put it up for sale.
Put it on
Thank
the
you, guys.
website.
Congratulations. Also honorable mention, Ronnie.
Ronnie, that's beautiful.
Thank you. This was from the Dahlia Farm in Petaluma.
Hmm.
I have 2 versions of this. I have the simple version and this one. The background is one of my textures, and I think I put this into topaz. And then I erased some of the I used a mask to erase a lot of the topaz thing. And I just love that little bud there.
It's like a baby.
I know.
Baby.
Yeah, the bud makes it. Without the bud. you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's just a flower. I right.
And the background is incredible.
Oh, thank
I
you.
love the
Yeah,
background.
really pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I don't do a lot with textures, but this one's, I don't know, was calling out to me.
Nice.
Thank you.
Good choice.
In
Yeah.
third place goes to Philip.
Wow.
Yeah, this, I took this leaf. It was actually stuck on a opaque window at the back of 3rd Street Ale Works.
Oh my.
What are you doing there?
I took it, well, I was on my way to a movie and meeting a friend for dinner first. But I took this with my 6-year-old iPhone.
Oh.
And just basically cleaned it up, took a little bit of, the grit out of it and a few specks I didn't like, but that's about all I did.
Very
Nice.
Nice.
Beautiful color.
Thank
I
you.
love the contrast of colors.
Works nice.
And the drop.
I
rough-
was very happy with the transition of the lighting too, as you mentioned, and the upper left to the lower. I mean, that was all, I didn't have to touch that at all.
Very cool.
Have you
Nice.
played with, I don't own an iPhone, but have you played with the new iPhones?
Yeah, I literally got a new iPhone for Christmas.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm having a lot of fun with the photography, with the photos.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, second place. Well, Steve.
Oh, beautiful.
Low in the clouds.
Where's the Steve one?
Thank you. Yeah, Bodega Head, one of my favorite haunts. And what's interesting is you were mentioning that the colors seem like they were HDR, but what's interesting is I didn't add anything to the color on those. I actually added shadow and light to areas, but there was no adjustment at all to the light. I did use a little bit of a topaz filter, which selectively, and then I tend to add it to some areas and erase it out of others and play with it to kind of add detail where I want and things.
Sure.
So the sky was actually, that's an added sky. I had a sky there that was really, really, really bright. But I love the composition. And I actually added the seagull as well.
There you go.
It just screamed, it needed something. What's funny is right in the very foreground, there was a spot where there were 2 people holding hands, and I was slightly to the left of this. I didn't like the composition. I have a shot with the people in it, but it kind of took away from some of the other things there. So I just said, it's nice to have a people aspect. Some people would like that. But I decided to not use the shot that had the people, or not to like Photoshop the people into it and just put a bird. To me, this just gave me a balance that I wanted. So my personal, personal choice was to do this to it, and I'm glad, I'm happy with it. So thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful composition. Curious, did you use Luminar?
Yes.
Okay.
For part of it, yes.
And is it
Lightroom and then Photoshop, Luminar, which I've been struggling with. Some things turn out to be like too blue, but then I always go back into Photoshop to do some final adjustments afterwards.
And another question is, and I'll put this out to the group, and it would be too long of a discussion, but having a journalistic background myself, right? This could appear easily in any kind of a magazine, right? Smithsonian or whatever. But they would also put underneath it, they would say photo illustration. They would call it photo illustration.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about that. But because of my journalistic background, I kind of leaned in that direction.
Yes.
We couldn't add a seagull.
Yeah, or sky.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wouldn't fit in with journalism or nature or any of those because of the additions.
It's art.
I know personally, my early 70s photography started out with an old Nikon F camera where you could take off the finder and lay another image or another piece of negative and make a drawing of something to do multiple exposures in camera. If
Sure.
anybody remembers any of those.
Oh, yeah, I owned them.
But I did a lot of that sort of thing back then. My instructor kind of got me into it. And I actually, I had two sides of me. One was this, I just loved, I had an artistic vision of something. And if I found something I really liked, I would find a way to turn it into something else. And being, at the moment, I'm handicapped and disabled, out of work and everything. So I can't go very far.
Yeah.
So I basically like get out of my car, take a shot. I can't stand there for hours. So I've kind of reverted back to doing some of that.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just finding I like the art aspect of it. The other thing I started with was black and white photography, and my first mentor was Ansel Adams, believe it or not, down in Monterey. So I did strictly black and white for years. So my background is black and white, and then stuff that's like composites. So I'm kind of doing more of that now. But I like both. But I see all of it, and I understand all of it, and I understand all the perspectives. And you go.
Well,
Congratulations.
You're an
Thank
artist.
you, Steve. We enjoy your work so much.
Good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That was really, really good, Steve.
One last
Nice,
thing.
Steve.
One last thing.
Now first place,
Okay.
Jennifer.
Oh, thank you. This is one of my favorite pictures from that whole trip to see the polar bears. I have lots of close-ups of them, but I just really love seeing that bear in his environment.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it comes across.
Stunning.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh, nice. Very
Freedom.
nice.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Yay.
5 images in masters. Honorable mention goes to Steve for look.
Oh, cool.
That was so.
I happened to have been at Steve's studio today and I saw that and he didn't say anything. I said, what is this? It is a window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Honorable mention also goes to Liz.
Oh, man,
yeah.
squirrel.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought about cropping it some more, but I was enamored by the rock work.
Me too.
Beautiful rock work.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too. But the squirrel is what, like, makes it really sing. Bing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll look at that some more.
Yeah.
I hope it's sharp.
Yeah, I know.
Totally sharp to me.
Congratulations. Third place goes to Tamara.
Oh,
Of course.
Sorry. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I was eating my popcorn, so I turned everything off. Oh, thank you. I just, after living, Neal, I lived in Africa for a few years, hope to go back soon. And I like some of these, like you, and you got it, just sort of the gentleness of these big guys.
Totally.
And the little baby, and and we just see them walking around all the time, and there's birds on them, and sometimes they're crazy and yelling at you. But yeah, I thank you, because that was kind of my intent, was the gentle giants kind of here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Totally.
Very nice.
Awesome. Love it.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
Second place, Tim.
Yeah. That's a Tim picture.
Yay!
Hey.
Congratulations, Tim. I'm not sure. I don't think he's here.
Something with color is finally.
Yeah. Really great.
Very
Okay, in first place, Dance Like Nobody's Watching.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Who did this?
Stunner.
Wow.
Oh.
Thank you. That's actually my son, who was married in just outside of Yosemite in October. And we went back to the valley to get some pictures of them rock climbing. As an aside, one of their early dates was spending 3 nights on El Cap climbing. So they went back. And as we were going through the valley, there was a controlled burn. So the light was crazy. We just said, we have to take a picture of this, and I got out and took this. And post-processing was basically just cleaning up little stuff, and there was a Winnebago way in the back, so that was removed. But aside from that, it's pretty much great.
Well, that is a
Was
magic,
that
that's
smoke?
a magic moment.
That's great. Nice job.
So you didn't just pop them in, huh?
No, actually, I'm not that good. I can't make God rays, and I can't throw my son and his bride to the road. That was there.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, the shadow's complicated enough.
How wonderful for them that you got this.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Very cool.
it
Thanks for
was
sharing
fun.
that.
Thank you.
Okay, drum roll. Best in show, best of the month. And I sure wish she was here.
All right. Nice.
You will love that.
It's great. Nothing on one and then see.
Yeah.
Depends on the direction. Good job.
I love this. I love
Love
this.
this image.
Oh, she's going to be so thrilled. I'm texting her now. She said she was going to bed since she couldn't get back in.
Maybe she'll watch the recording. Yay,
I'm
Ellen!
going to tell her to watch. Yeah.
Speak to her now.
It's such an illustration, but it has emotion to it too.
Yeah.
You know, it really does.
Wonderful.
Gorgeous image.
Great.
Two things I want to mention for who was it who did who used Topaz and Luminar? Was that Steve?
Yeah.
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 Are you familiar with Jerry Olsman?
No.
Okay, look him up.
Spell the last name.
UELSMANN.
Oh, oh, he's great.
Yes, he is.
Love him.
Me too. He does black and white manipulation in the enlarger.
Wow.
No digital. You'll be impressed.
By the
And-
way, Neil, I
Yes.
tried looking up Becky Logan and I couldn't find her.
Oh. Did you look Becky Logan photography?
Yeah, I did. I even looked infrared.
I think I found her, but she was not on, it wasn't, no Wikipedia. Let me see. That one.
Well, I just did an image search. I mean, I just did a regular.
Yeah, if you do BeckyLoganPhotography.com, all one word.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just
Thank
pulled it
you.
up. It's there.
Thank
And
you.
then for Mike,
Funk?
Mike, is he there?
No.
Don't think so.
We did his grandson escaping from the city.
Yeah, Mike Funk.
Yes, that was my fun.
Yeah.
He's not here?
No.
Should we tell him something?
Yeah, tell him to look up Eric Johansson, ERIK. Then the last name is JOHANSSON.
Okay.
He's a master digital manipulator.
Hey,
And
Bill, stop sharing the screen.
Neil, thank you for so much,
Sure. Yeah.
everything you shared. I learned a lot.
Oh, good.
In here. I can't wait to look up all these
Fabulous.
people.
Well, that's
So
good.
thank
to know.
you.
Oh, there we all are. That's really wonderful. to
I
see.
hope to hear more
Did-
critiques on my work
It's
too.
always so much
Great.
fun. You guys are such a good group. It sounds like you have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we do.
Absolutely.
Thank you
We
for all the
do.
comments.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Nancy, I love your shirt. Blends in
I
beautifully.
know.
I love that. I know.
It's always a fashion piece.
Nancy wins, good fashion. And
I like your background too. That's really pretty good. It looks like you're sitting inside of a zoom lens.
Well, that's after 2 glasses of wine.
Emma or you?
and mushrooms.
See you guys.
Thank you.
I didn't realize Nancy was fitting in with the zebras. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nancy has the
That's
best
a-
background.
Yeah.
Famous Nancy shot.
all
Good
right.
night, everybody.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
Night.
Thanks very
Everybody.
much.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank
Thank
you, everybody.
you.
All right.
Thank you, Neil.
Bye bye.